So, you tell me, first off, what proteins would that individual heterozygote have? Both. And in equal amounts?
Yeah.
All right, so let me write just for the record, he would have 50% normal and 50% Woolwich. And you want to go for the phenotype?
I said normal.
Okay.
Ability to bind to oxygen still.
Okay, so Richard says it's going to be normal because the doing something, the ability to bind oxygen is still there. So you got a 50-50 mix. Half the protein's doing nothing, half the protein's binding oxygen. You're still binding oxygen. Does anybody want to argue for anemia? Nobody does. All right. Yeah, go ahead. Right, so the argument in favor of disease is she said only half its blood. It's got half the carrying capacity, right? So you'd think maybe that's not going to be enough, all right? That would be an argument for not. It turns out that Richard's argument is the one that carries the day, which is that these guys are normal. And it turns out that basically enough, or 50% is enough functional hemoglobin to carry oxygen. We basically have excess capacity. Sometimes, actually, what probably happens is that there's more red blood cells made. Probably in people like that, because their red blood cells aren't quite doing the right job at the right level, there are regulation things that turn up your production of red blood cells. So your body has ways to compensate. But in the end, half a loaf is good enough to make the deal. So basically, in this case, doing something, carrying oxygen is dominant to not. All right, so hang on a second, everybody. So let me fill out, so the table up here, well, I guess it's not, let me leave it like that. Question, the thing is this, how do you know which one to apply? Didn't I just say, in one case, doing something was dominant, so that was the disease. In this case, doing something, the normal is dominant. How do you make a distinction between those? Yeah. If there's Heinz bodies, basically even more general than Heinz bodies, if the doing something is the bad thing, then that's dominant. If the doing something is the good thing, then that's dominant. So the doing something in the Heinz body, in the first one, is the bad thing, so the disease is dominant. All right.